Welcome into the Pats Nation. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe's with us in the booth. You are watching us on YouTube. Hey, when you're on YouTube, make sure you check out our shorts, our short reels. Everybody likes those. They're popular. Leave a comment. We will put it on the air for you. And subscribe. Hit that like button. That's what we're looking for. Hit those buttons. And if you don't like us, tell us that. Leave a comment. But if you are listening, just about Mark, though. Just about Mark.
It's always about me, Joe. Yeah. It's always about me.
But if you're listening to us, you're doing it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you podcast, and 790 The Score. And you can email us on our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com, or heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. It's a message line. Leave us a message 24/7. If Joe likes it, he'll put it on the air. So have a take. Got a good one. Hey, now, everybody understand, we're recording before the draft. It's Wednesday for us now. So by the time you see this, when will then be now? Soon, right?
Soon.
All of that. So by the time you see this, it'll be Sunday morning. The picks will have already been in, but you can let us know if we were wrong. And so we're going to go weekly rewind and talk a little bit about some of the thoughts people were having leading up to this draft and see if they're right.
And there's no way we could have did this while the draft was going on.
No. We're like you. Listen, we're fans like you. We need to pay attention to all this stuff.
Well. Hang on a second. I gotta clarify the fact that you guys are mega fans, super fanalists, as we call it. But you guys do like your draft. I've never seen anybody do this like draft homework. Like you guys are going through the draft just like the people in the draft. And the fans need to know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I always call this, Patriots War Room Scottsdale. That's what we call that here. So yeah, we're going to be talking some of that. We're going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. And Joe says it's a good one. And in Pat's preview, Mark and I are going to give you our mock draft for the first, as if they're picking for the first, for all the picks they have. And if we get to them. And that way you could tell us what you think and if we were right and so on. Hi, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hey. I'm saying good morning even though it's evening.
Yeah, it's morning. It's morning. It's Sunday morning. Yeah, listen to us on Sunday morning. So, hey, listen.
You ready for this thing, huh?
I'm ready. I am
ready. To be disappointed again?
Oh, no, we're going to be disappointed. I'm going to bust things as I always do. I tell them I'm never watching this team again. This is every draft, right?
He said if they pass on Egbuka, if he's there when we pick in the second round and we pass on him, he said he's shutting the draft off, and that's it.
The rest of it. Nope,
I don't watch the rest of it.
I'm done. I'm shutting the TV off, and I'm going to pour a pitcher of bourbon, and I'm not watching any more draft coverage.
All right. Well, let's get into it then today, okay? We're going to go back in the week, do a little weekly rewind. Joe? Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind. Okay, Mark. So there was a lot of discussion this week about the fourth pick. What are they going to do? What do people think about Campbell? We got a few clips we want to play. Some of them are back to back, so we're going to give Joe a second to set them up. But wanted to hear some people around the sports world, ESPN and so on, and give us their thoughts on Campbell and other things. And it started out with Todd, McShay. Joe, we ready?
Yeah.
Having in the league is that these offensive tackles do not belong. New England needs an offensive tackle desperately. And I talk to people, right? And they're like, and here's one of the conversations I had. I thought it was fascinating. If you draft Campbell, yes, I promise you're getting a leader on that team. You're getting the alpha dog in that room. You're getting a guy who's standing up in front of Drake Maye and he's going to lay his life on the line, and you love that. You get a guy who moves really well on his feet, and I promise you he'll be a great guard. And he might, if things go well, he'll be a solid starting left tackle. The problem is, Todd, and this is what I heard, the problem is, Todd, it's the fourth pick.
Right.
And we've got some dudes on the board.
Okay. So that was Todd McShay of ESPN, right, Mark, I think?
Yep.
So, he's gotten out there over the years, isn't he? Like kind of Anyway, so this is the kind of stuff, and I want Joe to play these, and the next one we're going to hear is on Bedard. But talking about McShay, and you hear this from a lot of people, have you ever heard anything like this before with this high of a pick and people basically just kind of throwing in the towel on it? How would you refer to this? Like just settling, I guess?
Listen, Chris, they're building this guy up so when they draft him, and I'm not going to say he's a bust, but he's not worthy of a 4th round pick. They'll be able to say, well, we told everybody, listen, he's a great locker room guy, which he is. He's going to be an all-pro guard. And we told you that could be the fallback, and you got a 10-year starter. So it was a weak draft, and it's like they're setting you up for 2 years from now. This is going to be their spin on the Will Campbell draft pick. They're already doing it, right?
Again, it's
going to lay his life on the line, Chris. What the hell was that?
It's just the same rhetoric we heard from Greg Bedard of Boston Sports Journal. Joe,
I think he's going to have trouble with speed rushers on the edge. That's where he ran into issues in
how the hell can he play left tackle?
To me, he is a guard, possible All-Pro. Like I've said before, I see him a lot like Joe Thuney, but probably with more of a nastier physical edge than Joe Thuney, who is more of a technician, and which I think Will Campbell is as well. But I think that Will's got a little bit more, stuff to him, where a little bit more of an edge. And so, I see Campbell as a guard, but I think he's the type of guy that, like Thuney, like we saw this year, until his arms, which are shorter than Will Campbell's. Finally he met a mismatch in the Super Bowl. But I think Campbell is going to be one of those guys like a Thuney that can get you by at left tackle until you maybe have an opportunity to address it a little bit more.
Get you by until you have time to address it more. He's a guard. I don't think he's Joe Thuney. Well, I don't know if he's Joe Thuney. Logan Mankins. I don't know if he's Logan Mankins, if he could be that good.
The hell's he talking about, Chris?
What you by.
What the heck is he talking about? It's going to get you by. You're wasting the number 4 pick in the draft on a guy that can get you by. That's what you're wasting the number 4 pick in the draft on?
I don't.
You mean to tell me you can't get that kind of a tackle in the 3rd round? Chris, last year
that can play. That's going to end up playing guard.
Chris, what he just described. Washington took last year 1 pick before Wallace. They plugged him in as a rookie and left tackle. Guess what? He got them by. But he was a 3rd round pick, Chris. Right. Then this year they go trade for the left tackle from Houston. What the heck's his name?
Tunzel.
And they kicked this kid to guard. He was a 1-year left tackle. But that's okay when you take him round, Chris. He wasn't the 4th pick of the draft.
No. When you take guys like Cole Strange, in the 1st round, and this guy, and with the idea that hopefully they can be attacked, but they're probably going to play God. And then Bedard said this.
That's my read, that he's just exactly the type of player that they want, and they don't really, actually, not really. They don't have one single person on that offensive line in that room that I would say is 100% solid Mike Vrabel type of guy. Campbell, whether he makes it a tackle or not, and kicks inside the left guard, and he's the next like Logan Mankins for the Patriots, which I don't think he'll be, but he might come close to that, which is fine. Foundational piece on the offensive line that's sort of going to be the straw that stirs the drink in that room for years to come. I think would be a priority for Mike Vrabel.
Wow.
The straw. I don't want a straw that stirs the drink. I want a straw that's going to suck up defensive ends and edge guys and spit them out. 5 yards down the field. That's the kind of straw I'm looking for, Mark. What the hell are these people talking about?
I don't know, Chris. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Like Bedard, and I respect Bedard a lot. I don't know what the hell he's talking about with this kid Campbell. I just don't, and I love him. I just don't, I don't understand what he's talking about. What is he talking about, Chris?
This is insane. This is insane behavior. You know, what do they call insane behavior? Repeating the same action over and over and over and expecting a different result. Right?
Yes.
Isn't that the technical definition for it? Well, that's what the New England Patriots keep doing. They keep doing this crap, expecting a different result.
But doesn't it sound like in his voice, Bedard is like, you guys really want me to answer this question? Like, he's not the guy to pick. It sounds like he's saying, but he's got to tell people this is what he'll bring.
Chris, this is the typical.
But Joe, I think he wants
Joe, this is the typical. Yeah, but Joe, this is the typical. We have no tackle. We're taking this guy out of desperation because we think he's the best tackle of a weak tackle class. So we're going to take him at 4 because we have to, because we have nobody else in the room that can play left tackle. And that's why they're taking him, Chris.
Then I heard some local guys say, okay, well, you need a left tackle. So, you take this guy. Yeah, he's probably going to end up being a real good guard, but you can put him in there right now until you go and get the guy that plays left tackle. So basically we're getting a seat filler. Okay, at the number 4 pick in the draft. And like you said, Mark, with the 3rd round pick, 4th round,
I'm okay with that.
Fine. But you do it with the number 4 pick in the draft. You want to get a seat filler knowing he's going to play. I don't need a guard. This is insane. This is stupid. And if you're listening to this and they already did it, I may give back my season tickets at this point. Because you know what, Mark? He's going to get beat inside, left and right, and all around. Did he play against Walker from Georgia last year?
Yeah, they play. LSU played them. I got to go back and look at the tape.
Well, all I know is because I'm pretty sure he got manhandled. If that was the game,
he played. They played. Wait a minute, I'm trying to think if LSU played Georgia. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe that was the Texas tackle that happened.
Yeah, the Texas. I got to check the schedule to see if they act, because sometimes those SEC teams don't always play every team in the conference.
Look, all I know is when he did play SEC edge guys and D linemen, he had a lot of trouble with. Those were the games he had trouble.
If you go back and look at his tape from this year is not as good as his previous year. This year's tape, Chris, I went back and studied it. It's not as good.
No.
It's not as good as it was.
He's going to have trouble. This guy's going to play guard. I'm not taking a guard at number 4. He's not. The whole point of this, again, and we keep talking about this, do you draft for need or do you draft for...
You can draft for need, Chris, if Joe Walt's on the board. Joe Walt's not on the board.
Well, if those two things merge.
Yeah.
If your need and the best guy there merge together, great. But, okay, then I'll say this. If you're just drafting for need, okay, and you need a left tackle, you need a guy that's going to play left tackle for the next at least 5 years, then go take the kid from Texas. Fine. You want to take that kid from Texas at 4? Okay, at least he's a tackle. At least he's going Banks. At least he's going to be a tackle.
You know what, Chris? That's a great thing you brought up. I would have less of a problem, even though he's rated going around 8, 9, 10. He's rated 8, 9, 10. I'd have less of a problem if they said, we graded him as the number 1 tackle in the draft. We desperately need a tackle, and we're taking him at 4. I would actually be okay with that because at least he's a left tackle, Chris. He's played that position his entire career at Texas, and he played well. He's played well.
Right, exactly.
I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with that.
I don't want a guard, and I don't want a right Membu. I don't want a right tackle.
We played that game. We played that game.
To move him over to left tackle.
We've played that game before, Chris. That don't work either.
Look, and again, I don't know if they did it to me. Go trade with the Cardinals at 16. Trade with the Cardinals at 16. Go take Simmons from Ohio State if the meds check out. Go take Simmons. Guy's your left tackle. He'll be a left tackle for his future.
There's a rumor out there, and I don't know if it's happened. I hope it happened. I hope it did, because you'll get a ton of draft capital that Denver might want to move up from 20 to 4 because they're dying to get. They're in love with Gentry. in love with him.
Fine. Then you do that deal, you get a ton for it, and guess who you
if
take?
If they're moving up from 20, Chris, you'll get a ton in that deal.
And guess who you take at 20 then? You take you get it over with, and you take your wide receiver from Ohio State.
At 20, that's who you take.
Puka.
And in the second round, when we go through our picks, I got a tackle you can take in the second round. And you're right. At 20, you take your wide receiver from Ohio State. You know what I mean?
So that
Puka, you're all done.
So to me, Mark and I are both on board. I hope they took Walker if they had a pick at 4 and nobody else, or traded up to get Hunter. Go up, trade up.
They're not trading up. But anyway.
So, but I wanted to play those cuts because it's blowing my mind.
Oh, Chris, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
You know what they said this week. But Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso and Catone. The Real Deal, New England Field, Saturdays, noon Eastern. Hey, we got it all. Catone's comments, B's and C's, talk Celtics playoffs, and so much more. But hey, when we come back, we're going to hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline. No flipping.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more Corso and Catone.
Saturdays at noon.
God, I love that, Joe. I really do.
Right?
Who doesn't love Christopher Walken?
That's
one of the funniest skit segment things that
Saturday Night Live did.
It was awesome, you know. Back in with more Pats Nation. Okay, so we ready to hear from somebody?
Let's do it.
Let's make it good.
Hi, guys. This is Jen from Cranston. I am pissed off right now. I've heard for friggin' months now that Vrabel wants culture guys. My God, do your goddamn job as a coach. So now we heard all week that Campbell is just okay at tackle and maybe a guard, but a great locker room guy. Like it's the number 4 goddamn pick. Are you effing kidding me?
Oh.
Yeah, do that in the 6th round. Do your goddamn job, coaches. Enough. Love the show, guys.
Jen's from Cranston's the best.
Out of control.
Oh, she's out of control.
But she's always on point, though.
Yeah. Effing goddamn, do your job.
She's the best.
Friggin'. Oh, she brought it all. You brought it all, Jen. Thank you for the call, as usual.
Jen, that's a great call.
Well, that was the other thing we heard in those clips about he's exactly what Mike Vrabel wants. He's your straw that stirs the thing, and he's going to be the locker room guy. And, you know, that's great. You know, we got a locker room guy that can't play. So I got a locker room guy that can't play tackle. Nice. I love that at number 4.
Yeah.
You want a locker room? If all you want is a locker room guy, then trade down to 20 and take Ben Morrison. You want a locker room guy?
Oh, you're dying to get.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't do that.
I know.
So I
know.
You know, he had his pro day on Monday at Brophy.
Yeah,
good. He looked good.
Did he look good? All right, good.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Hopefully, he's on the mend.
But anyway, she's dead on, like Joe says. So, what is this?
So she talks about the culture and a locker room guy, and she's yelling for Vrabel to do his job, which is true, Chris. If you need him to be a locker room guy and set culture as the head coach, that's your job. That's she's saying, do your job. Like she's right. Like, do you really need? First of all, a rookie is going to do that. A rookie is going to do that. First of all, Chris.
Right. So okay. So yeah, let me understand the logic. Yes, Mark's right. So you're going to have a rookie trying doing everything he can possibly do just to play left tackle because he's going to be over his head.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's doing everything he possibly could do to learn how to be an NFL football player. And this is the guy you think is going to take over the locker room and become the instant leader. It didn't happen with Drake Maye.
No.
How the hell is it going to happen with this guy?
The veterans will squash him. Listen, maybe Chris, maybe 3-4 years from now, he becomes a leader like that.
Yeah,
maybe if he's what they say he is. That's not happening now.
Yeah. So he's Joe Tooney then.
So he's Joe Tooney.
Would you have taken Joe Tooney with the number 4 pick in the draft?
Absolutely not.
Even Belichick wouldn't do this.
No, absolutely not. You're not thinking Joe Tooney with the 4th pick in the draft. Absolutely.
But she brings up the bigger point, and it's the crap we've been listening to Now, once again, I said this before a few shows ago, where it's more the media you're hearing this from, though. I mean, you hear these guys, you hear Vrabel, you hear them, you hear Elliott Wolf or whatever he's worth. You hear them saying, we want good guys. We want guys that are going to know entitlement, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then they bring Diggs in, So you hear this stuff once from them. But all you're doing is hearing it from the media. They're just saying it over and over. They're the ones, like you say, the mouthpieces, the puppets. I call them the puppets for Kraft. I mean, right? I mean, those are the ones pushing all this narrative, constantly pushing it.
No, they are.
Is it because that's what they're hearing from them, or is it because what? Is it what Kraft wants?
Because they're setting this up for a soft landing, Chris, when they take this kid Campbell, and like I said in the last segment, and then they're going to push this kid to guard. And maybe he's a 10-year starter at guard, but you still have a hole at left tackle, and you wasted the number 4 pick in the draft on this kid. It's a soft landing for the team to say, hey, they got a culture guy, they got a leader, they got a team captain. He's going to be a 10-year guard, all-pro. Like, it's a soft landing to say, hey, it was a good draft pick. It wasn't a bust. It wasn't Cole Strange. It was a good draft pick. That's what they're trying. That's the narrative they're trying to spin. And if he turns into a all-pro left tackle, even better. Oh, what a pick that was. Nobody believed in Vrabel. What a pick. That was a genius pick, right? So either way, like, the organization wins, right? If he turns out to be a great left tackle, great.
What pisses you off, though, about all this? Well, what pisses me off and why? How much crap did Belichick get for drafting Cole Strange?
Oh, he got crucified.
Strange didn't play at LSU. He doesn't have the numbers that Campbell had. I'm not saying that.
No, because because everybody does have this kid Campbell, Chris, as a top 10, 12 pick. They do. Everybody has this kid going in the top 10, right?
But
so
everybody,
it's not like they're taking a second round pick and drafting him 4th.
But everybody thinks he's a god. So my point is this:
a lot of people do.
The New England puppets gave Belichick so much crap for taking a guard at late, was like the 29th pick. I don't know, something like that.
But Chris, you got to remember.
But now you're going to take the guard at number 4.
But you got to remember something, Chris. That was towards the end of Belichick's regime, and he had kind of lost favor with the puppets, because before that, the puppets would have said, he's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. He knows Cole Strange is going to be an all-pro. Right. That's why he drafted him. But that kind of wore off, and now towards the end of his career, they crucified him for Cole Strange. 5 years earlier, they would have said, well, he's playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. You know what I mean?
So then does this mean that Vrabel's going to get a pass? So
yes, absolutely 100%.
So they're greasing that wheel. They're trying to set up. They're trying to set him up for the fall, and everybody doesn't care that he falls on his face. Because let me tell you something right now, okay? If they draft this kid at 4, then to me, Mike Vrabel fell on his face with the first decision he could possibly make. So if we're sitting here on Sunday right now and they took Campbell, then I'm saying it flat out. Mike Vrabel effed up the 4th pick in the draft. He fell flat on his face, okay? And he succumbed to the nonsense of need versus best. That's what he did, because they had all-pro guys sitting there. Walker, Genti, Warren. These guys, Mace Graham.
After the combine, when they did the measurables on this kid after the combine, all these guys, Bedard, all of these guys all said, you can't take him with the 4th pick because nobody in 25 years has had those measurables at left tackle and been an all-pro.
That's stat that Elliott Wolf didn't even know.
That's a stat Elliott Wolf claimed, But all these guys, Chris, who are now saying, yeah, you got to take Will Campbell at 4. They were all out on Will Campbell after the combine. The week after the combine, they all said, well, you can't draft Will Campbell. That's a non-starter. You can't take him. He doesn't fit what a left tackle is. But now all of a sudden, Chris, as you said, the puppets have all come around, and they're all saying, well, Will Campbell's going to be the 4th pick of the draft. And they're all given this justification. as to why you have to take him fourth. But a month ago, after the combine, 6 weeks ago, they were out on him. Now they're back on him. That's what tells me that's who they're taking. Because why else are they back? They're okay with this pick now. Because now the whispers have come out of the building. No, we're taking Campbell. We're probably taking Campbell. You know what I mean?
I'll give Michael Holley and Michael Felger a lot of credit.
Oh, they'll listen. They're going to crucify him on Monday. On Monday afternoon, they're going to crucify him if he takes Campbell. No, I'm sorry, Friday afternoon, they're going to crucify him if he takes Campbell.
Because those are the only two guys, from moment one, had been saying, I'm not touching this guy. I don't want him. I don't want to deal with him. And I was back and forth, but then finally I said, wait a minute, what are you doing? What are you doing? I just can't. The logic, there's no logic to it. I mean, how you can sit on a TV show, how you even got on a TV show to begin with, where you're staring into the camera and you're saying, look, it makes total sense. I mean, it makes total sense. It's what you need to do. You have a large, gaping, huge hole at left tackle. Vederian Lowe stinks. He can't play. He's terrible. And even Will Campbell coming in, who's really not going to be a tackle, who's going to end up being a guard, even he will be better for the time being than Vederian Lowe will be. And then we'll go get our stud. So you've blown and wasted the number 4 pick on a seat filler that you're just going to kick into guard because you thought Vederian Lowe sucked so bad. There's other options, Mark. How about coach him up? How about the fact that the coaching staff sucked so bad for the last 2 years?
Forget it.
At the 3 years at that position, and now you have a real coach there. Maybe it gets better there. You have a new offensive system where you have an OC that is able to hide certain things, that's able to mask certain deficiencies on the offensive line. Do you ever think about things like that? Or how about the fact that there's some disgruntled guys around the league, like in the Raiders, they'll tackle. Maybe you go make a trade. There's some other guy sitting out there that you can bring.
Now, that's a guy, Chris, that you could probably get for a 4th-round draft pick. Give it up and plug that kid in. And now he's there for now. You can do
3 to 4 years.
Now you can do Bedard's system. He gives you 2 or 3 years to figure out, or at least a couple of years to figure out, okay, can we get a left tackle long term? He's our stopgap guy. He's not the 4th pick in the draft. It's just Kid Miller from the Raiders.
Right. And in the meantime, you draft a kid out of Boston College.
In the 3rd round.
In the 3rd round, that swing tackle that you think, can be something over there. What the hell's his name again? I have Trapillo.
Yeah.
Okay. You draft that guy or somebody like him, and you develop him. Or maybe Wallace develops. I don't know. But there are other options besides blowing the 4th pick.
Huh?
Mark, there are guys that are going to be all pro bowlers that are sitting there, that will be sitting there. And Walker's one of those guys.
But
from Georgia.
Yeah, but I just don't get, Chris. If they watched it, I'd love to get in front of one of these guys and say, did you actually watch the tape on him? What did you see that tells you he can even be an all-pro guard? He's never played guard in his life. He's never been a guard, Chris. His entire college career, he's never played one snap at guard. So what makes you think he can be a great guard? How do we know that? Why? Because of his size and his speed?
And his athleticism and all this other stuff.
But he's never played one snap at the position, Chris.
Right. And how do you know he's not going to take a stance and get blown backwards?
You don't know.
Because he's a little too tall for the position, maybe, or he's a little, again. And even Greg Bedard flat out said it in that last clip we played. Well, I'm not sure he'll ever be Mankins.
What the hell are you drafting him for?
Then what are we talking? So you're telling me we're going to draft with the number 4 pick a guy that can't play tackle and may not even be a Pro Bowl guard?
He may not even be Logan Mankins.
What the hell? Jen, you are 1,000,000% right, and I hope by the time the draft comes and goes that
you might have to talk. Wrong. Listen, we might have to get Jen's contact information and try to talk her off the ledge, Joe.
I'm telling you, I mean, right? She's, but she's right. She's dead right. If they everybody out there, if they took Campbell, we gave you our thoughts on what it is and why it
Let me tell you something. He's gonna be pissed. Chris is gonna be pissed.
Let me ask you this.
Chris is going to be as upset as the night they took N'Keal Harry when I was upset that night. I was throwing stuff. Me and my son were throwing stuff around the room. Chris was in town that night.
Let me ask you guys this. Is there any merit in saying that potentially we do have a new regime in Vrabel and the potential that he's now utilizing the flagship stations to kind of spread this type of word so that way he's playing with the strategy that loosens up the first 3 picks potentially we can actually get the person we want? You think that's actually a thing?
Great point. It's a good point. Yeah, they work the press, they work the media in order to send out false narratives and things that goad people into doing this or that or the other thing. It happens all the time. Yes, you're right. In this situation, I don't know, because I don't think anybody. It's such a pick. It's such a bad spot that they're in. God, they had to win that goddamn Buffalo game.
Chris, if you're sitting with the number 1 pick in the draft, oh my God.
You trade to the Giants and you take either Hunter or Carter and you get a boatload from them. You get their number 1 pick for the next 3 years.
You get a boatload
because they're going to get their quarterback.
They'll get their quarterback. You're right. You'd get a boatload.
Yeah. So, Joe, yes, it's done all the time. I don't have no doubt that they're doing that for Vrabel's. Elliot Wolf is known for those kinds of things too, although I don't know if I think he gets credit for things. I just think he's clueless. But yes, it's just in this situation though. There's nobody else that like in other words, that would be okay if the number 2 and 3 picks they say, well, we better take Campbell because I think they're going to take him at 4.
Right.
You see, I don't know, but nobody wants him there, and so maybe we'll get lucky, guys, and maybe somebody traded up to the number 2 or 3 spot to get Genty and one of those 2 studs fill in our lap, Hunter or Carter, right?
Maybe that's our only salvation, right? Or maybe somebody trades with us for Genty. We slide down and get draft capital, and maybe then they take a guy like your guy from Texas, Banks, and then maybe you come back up and take
the
wideout from Ohio State, who I love.
Well, we're going to get to that in the next segment. So, Jen, we appreciate the call. As always, Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. We come back, going to go in Pat's preview and give you our mock draft. Stick around.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Back in with more Pat's Nation. Okay, Mark, we're on the clock. We're going to start picking some players.
On the clock, baby.
We're going to do it in Pat's preview, and we're going to do it now.
Pat's preview.
So I'll do the ding 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 ding.
Joe,
right?
do you have the ticker for us? The ding 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 pick is in. Do you have it?
I don't think we're allowed.
It wasn't playing. I gotta try to get another version.
We're already having issues. We can't play that. We got it always says copyright. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, Mark. Patriots are on the board at 4. Here's what we want to do. This is the exercise. We want to make the picks. Now, I would understand that Mark and I want some trades done here. We want to try to trade out of spots and things. But if we try to do that right now,
we'll be here until 11 o'clock. We'll be here until 11 o'clock this morning. The show will go until 11.
Because of because we're going to get back certain picks, and then what we're going to do with those picks, and
we can't get into all that.
So we're just going to pick at the spot we're picking. All right, Mark, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
With the 4th pick in the NFL, this year's NFL draft, the New England Patriots select.
Well, here's the thing, though, Chris. I'm assuming Hunter and Carter are off the board.
Yeah, let's assume.
Are we going to make that assumption? Let's clarify for everybody.
Well, because look, if either one of them are there, we're taking
them. So let's take them off the board, so that'll make it fair. They're off the board. Okay.
Yes,
with the 4th pick of the 2025 NFL draft, I'm turning in my ticket for Jalen Walker. But let me explain to you why, Chris. And this is something no one's really brought up. You're playing in a division with Josh Allen. If you want to compete,
this is a really good point.
If you want to compete in the AFC, you got to beat Lamar Jackson. You got to beat Patrick Mahomes. You ever see this kid pursue the football, Chris? It's like he shot out of a cannon.
Oh, yeah.
Out of a cannon, this kid. There's nobody better to have back there shadowing Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. This kid can handle that, Chris. This kid will go with them, go after the ball. They get loose. He'll shoot out of a cannon after them. And when he tackles you, Chris, you don't break. He tackles you. You're not getting loose. Okay? They have nobody like this. They've never had anybody like this on the roster, Chris. I understand he's a little undersized. Use him a little bit differently. I mean, he's not going to be an edge guy. You're just going to say, okay, you're going to play the edge for 3 downs, first, second, third down. You're going to have to move him around, do some different things with him. But he gives you something, Chris, that you haven't had to combat Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Mahomes. And that's why I like him at 4.
Yeah. And he's a hands guy. Now, okay, this guy's got short arms too. Fine. But when you're and sometimes coming off the edge, but his quickness, his speed, that ability and the strength to get off those blocks around the edge, the way he dips his shoulder down and gets underneath those blocks, he gets square with guys before they're set. That's how quick off the ball he is, and that's how instinctual this guy is. And then when you move him, he's a traditional off-ball guy. But the beauty about this guy, he's my number 1 pick too. The beauty about him is he can play. He's not a typical edge guy, specialist guy. He plays inside too.
You can utilize him a little bit.
Well, you can play him at the Mike linebacker.
I'm only going to say a little bit because you'll jump down my throat. But you can play him a little bit like Mickey Parsons.
Yeah. No, you can. You can.
I mean, he's not Parsons by no means. I'm not saying he's Parsons.
Well, no, absolutely.
But
I agree
you can put some of those packages in for him, Chris.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can, especially when you go even front. So they're going to be playing a lot of even fronts, a lot of 4-man, right? Down. Yep. So now you play him at the Mike linebacker spot with his 3 backers out there, and maybe even 2 if you got a nickel package with more defensive backs. And now he's a little more inside. So he's sitting over the guard now as he aligns, or in the 3 technique off ball. Fine. Because he can get sideline. So when that roll happens, or that, that sprint roll or that edge run takes place, or that wide receiver screen takes place, you want to see a guy get shot out of a cannon and go to the sideline? This is the dude.
This is the dude. This is the dude. This
Not
is the dude.
Campbell.
And Chris, they claim he's a coach in the locker room. You put him in the locker room. They keep saying culture, guys. You put him in the locker room. You put him in the film room, and he's going to break the tape down for the coaches. He'll be the coach.
He's the straw that stirs the drink.
Now, anybody else, Chris? Obviously, you're not taking. We already said we're not taking Will Campbell.
No, we made our pick. That's the pick.
That's the pick. So we're not even going to throw anybody else on the table.
That's the pick. All right.
Now, when does the sound go? Now?
Right before we're going to,
pick.
Right, just give me the cue.
Go ahead. We're going to get sued.
So they're pulling us off. No, they're going to pull us off.
I'm going to be getting letters left and right. All right. With the 6th pick, with the 38th pick,
the 38th
in the NFL draft. This is round 2, pick 6. With the 38th pick in this year's NFL draft, in the 2025 NFL draft. Let me get it right. The New England Patriots select. Mark.
I'm thinking the wide receiver from Ohio State, Igbokwe.
Igbokwe. Yeah, if he
drops, Chris, that's what I'm thinking. Because you think he could drop. I don't think he's dropping that far. I'll tell you what I'm doing, Chris. If he's not there, I'm drafting with the 38th pick, Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State.
Talk about him.
Board. Okay? Higgins, Chris, can do X. He can play slot. He's a 6'4" guy. If he's playing slot, Chris, there's no matchup. There's no linebacker and no safety that's matching up with him, Chris. He's a matchup nightmare. In the red zone, he will give Drake Maye something in the red zone, Chris, he doesn't have. He'll be a perfect complement to Diggs, especially in the red zone. A kid like Higgins, he'll be perfect in a McDaniels system. McDaniels will have all kind of packages to get this kid to football. If he's there, I take him. And the other kid, Chris, I'm going to give you a few receivers, is Luther Burden, because he's dropping down draft boards. We talked about him last week. There, I'm taking him too, because he's like a jack of all trades. He's like a Deebo Samuel, and he can get deep. He can beat guys. He can fly. I'm taking, hopefully, Chris, one of those 3 receivers. If you want to tackle,
well, go to the stick with the receiver for a minute.
no. But if you want to tackle in the second round, Chris, because nobody's talking about him, Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. Okay, I'm going to tell you something, and this is where guys like Bedard don't do their homework. This kid, Chris, has an elite football IQ. He quickly made the move mid-season from guard to left tackle seamlessly. Didn't allow a single sack in the college football playoff and played against Michigan's front four, which was supposed to be the best in the country, and was pushing guys up the field, even though they lost the game. He played well in that game at left tackle. He could be your left tackle in the second round if you get if the first round breaks a little different, whatever you want to do. But he's a left tackle option in the second round.
Is this who? Jackson?
Donovan Jackson from Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean they got him listed as a guard, but what
Chris,
you're saying?
he seamlessly played left tackle for 8 games this year, 7-8 games when the left tackle Simmons went down, and he played it great. He played great football.
I could tell you, I like him too, but I honestly think he'll be there with the next pick that the Patriots are making.
I don't think he'll be there that high, Chris. I don't know. Just because he has the ability to play left tackle, Chris, I don't know.
I got him overall 59th, 60th. And
I just don't know if he'll last until your 69th pick. But anyways, if there is one of those receivers is there, Chris, I'm taking one of those 3 receivers.
So for me, with that pick, I'm taking. I go the same way with Egbuka. If Egbuka is there, I mean it's a no-brainer. You got to rush.
If Egbuka is there at 33 or 34, you got to trade up to get him. You got to move up.
Right. I'm with you on that. And I'm also with you on there's a few guys that I'm in on. Now, we don't know when the wide receiver run is going to happen.
Nope.
Okay. We don't know if it's going to happen at the end of the first round, in the mid-first. We just don't know. Ideally we'd like to trade up and into that little run. But if Golden, Higgins, any of these guys, Egbuka, like you say, Burden is a little bit of a stretch, but you can maybe do some moves on that. If Egbuka, and I know we're not talking trades, but if Egbuka moves, if he reaches the second round, you got to trade a few spots up and get him. You just have to.
You have a choice.
But let's say that's not the case, okay? Because I think this kid, we talked about offensive tackles, yes?
Yes.
Let me get to my guy. I've been talking about this kid for weeks and weeks now, okay? And this is Conley out of
but do you think he drops to 38, Chris? I don't think he does.
Overall, he's 30. I got him as a 33rd rated.
I think when the run on tackles happens, he'll be the last one taken in that round.
I mean, some people have him at 20, like as low as 28 or as high, however you look at it.
Yep.
As high as like 28. But I got him overall ranked about 33.
Okay.
And I think that once you get into the second round, this is another guy. If the wideouts aren't there to trade up to get, I'm going to go a few spots and get this guy.
Okay.
Because again, and I'll be honest with you, I'm more comfortable picking this kid over Campbell because I know I'm getting a tackle. The quickest 10-yard split out of any offensive lineman at the combine. His quickness is absurd. It shows up. His arms are a little on the shorter side, but not like Campbell. Okay. But he meets speed rushers where they are, which means he's got a good kick step. He slides really, really well. Okay. When he has to. When he has to slide outside. He rarely loses on someone when these get caught. Once he locks onto you, you're blocked. And he sets that edge. But what I love that this guy does is he works up to the second level really well. So when you're running screens, when you're running wide receiver screens, when you're running jets and things like that and bubbles, this guy can get to the edge and he can get out to the second level and just devour people. He doesn't get lost out there, Mark. And so to me, if this guy's available at that pick, to me, this is a no-brainer too. It becomes a little more difficult if both those guys are there, you take the wide out. If Higgins and Igbokwe are there, you take the wide out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's not that we're going to go to break now, but it's not that we don't.
Chris, here's my thing though, Chris. If they take say they listen to us and take Jalen Walker fourth,
yeah,
are they going to take a tackle with that second pick, and then you go with your first pick in the third round? Do you go wide receiver?
Well, we're going to do that next. We're going to do that next. So let's break. But this portion of Pat's preview was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Field, Saturdays, noon Eastern. We got Catone's comments. We're going to talk Celtics playoffs and so much more. But when we come back, we're going to stay in Pat's preview and look at the third round of the draft. Stick around. The real deal New England Field. What does that mean? We're like you. We're going to bitch about everything.
My opinion, our draft, the good, the bad, it was ugly.
These people, Mark, drive me freaking insane. Bananas.
It's so frustrating and aggravating. I can't take it.
The real deal New England Field. It's going to be real. Back in with more Pats Nation. All right, Mark, we're still on the clock here. The Patriots are now, the third round of the draft has begun. Joe, we got it? Got the sound? Play the sound? We might as well at this point.
He can't play that anymore. We're in enough trouble. Forget it. No, that's it, Joe. Forget it. Don't listen to him.
With the third pick in the 2025 draft. Pick number 69, the New England Patriots select
Mason Taylor, tight end, LSU.
Ooh. Okay, Mark, talk to us about Mr. Taylor.
First of all, Chris, he will be an absolute stud.
And you think he's going to be there at 69?
I don't know. It's going to be close.
Because I got him ranked overall like 48, 50.
Yeah, I do. I got him ranked in the high 40s too, but I think
if he's there, that's a gift.
But Chris, I don't see him on a lot of draft boards.
I know.
Like being mentioned though, Chris. I don't think there's going to be a run on tight ends for a while.
Yeah.
So he might be the first tight end that comes off the board, like for the next run of tight ends. Like, or one, I shouldn't say the first, but one of those guys. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I mean, if the draft set up perfectly, I'd take him at 38. That's how much I like him. But I don't think you could take him that high because you have so many other needs.
Yeah.
But if he's there at 69, Chris, that's
we're not drafted for need now. That's not our way. We're drafting the best player, and if he's the best, he's the best player.
Chris, but they're not gonna take him with the 38th pick in the draft. I'm telling you
right
now.
No, not there. I mean, if he's
at 69, Chris, he's the best player on the board to me. Chris, he will go. He will run down the seam. Listen, he's got more athleticism. He's an upgrade over Hunter Henry at this stage of his career. The kid is young, Chris. He's only 21 years old. He can block. He's nasty. This kid is everything you're looking for a tight end in Josh McDaniels' offense. This kid will be a staple for the next 8 to 10 years for Drake Maye at tight end. If he's on the board at 69, Chris, it's a no-brainer. I'm running up with the card. I'm running up. And
listen, you don't underestimate, like Mark says, the blocking ability of this guy and to develop into one. And you're putting him with one of the best offensive line coaches in football, okay? And you say he walls off defenders really, really well. Inline blocking, he can do it, and he can develop more as that. And he holds his own on pass pro too when he's in pass protection. You know, he's the first 100 reception, 1,000 yard tight end in LSU history.
Chris, listen, that's my pick at that pick. But listen, if in the second round you took Josh Connolly and Mason Taylor's off the board, you're going to have to take a wide receiver.
Okay, what do you got?
And if Jalen Noel's on the board still, I would take Jalen Noel there. The other Iowa State wide receiver.
Okay.
I would take him there. The other guy I would look at, Chris, believe it or not, would be a perfect fit for our scheme. I love the kid. Is Darius Alexander, defensive tackle out of Toledo. I don't know if he'll last that long. He may go in the second round.
Yeah, I have him rated in second.
Yeah, but if he was ever still there at 69, he's somebody you'd have to, I would think of. It would be one of those three guys, depending on where you are in the draft and whether or not you go to wide receiver or not. And, Mason Taylor's my first pick, but if Noel and Alexander are on the board and Taylor's not, it would be one of those two guys, I think. I don't think Alexander will be on the board either, Chris.
All right, we'll pick up the pace now because we want to get to the next two rounds. Okay, for me.
Who do you pick there?
Yeah, for me, if he drops this far because of the hip injury, and Ben Morrison, the corner out of Notre Dame, is sitting there at 69, you bet your damn ass I'm taking him. I know it's not a need, but value-wise, yeah. I mean,
Chris, if he's not there, they'll say he goes in the second round.
He goes.
If Taylor's on the board, would you take Taylor if he's there?
Oh yeah. No, I have no question about that. I agree with you on the tight end over Morrison. I agree with that. But for the three I listed, if Morrison's not there, Trapillo, the Boston College offensive tackle, we talked about him for a second, like him. If he's not there, take a look at Norman Lott, the defensive tackle out of Tennessee. Okay, he's a guy that I got rated just a little bit higher than that. But to me, that would be a drop. Okay, he would be dropping. I got him ranked around 50, 52. Okay, he explodes off the ball. He's a 3 technique guy, which is going to fit their system. Okay, he's long, strong enough for press blockers on his frame. He rarely gets blocked for any period of time. He gets into gaps, disrupts plays, and he can push upfield into quarterback's face. So that's a guy that I like. And then the last guy I'll say at this pick is the wide receiver out of TCU, Beck. I like him. If none of those other guys are there, I'll take Beck, Mark. Now, okay, the other third round pick we have at the pick 77 in the third round, what do you got?
I would take Beck there if he's there. If Beck's there, I'll take him if he's still there. Yep. I like the edge guy from South Carolina. I've been talking about him for a while, Chris. I got him sitting around 74, 75 on my board. I'm hoping he's there at 77. I take Kyle Kennard from South Carolina. I think he's a Landry type of guy. I think you could make him a real good edge guy. You know what I mean? So you'd have a couple of young edge guys with him and potentially, Keon White. And if you draft Walker, you've got a good young nucleus now to build around. If Kennard's there, Chris, I'm taking Kennard with that pick at the edge. Depending on what you've done at wide receiver, I like Beck as well, the kid from TCU in that slot. Those would be the two guys, Chris, but Kyle Kennard is the guy I'm circling there. If he's there, I'm taking him with that pick because I think you want to add depth to the edge, to get a young edge guy. He'd be a young edge guy.
Yeah, if for me, I'm looking at Schlesinger out of UCLA.
Yeah, he's good.
The linebacker.
He's good linebacker.
This is a kid. He had his breakout season last season.
Yep.
He had the most solo tackles in the country with 90. Okay, his reaction time, the motor, the burst, everything you want in a linebacker. You talk about sideline to sideline. This kid will get sideline to sideline. I don't like the competition he played against. I'll say that. He played at UCLA.
Yeah.
But he's so instinctive as an interior run defender too, which if you're going to be in a 4-man front, your linebacker is going to have to run and they're going to have to tackle. And so this is the kind of guy that looks that way. He's fine in coverage too, if you have to use him there. So I like him. I like the wide receiver Bond out of Texas.
You think he's still on the board there?
Well, I mean, for me, I have to, I'm using paper over here. You know what I mean? So I have to go
old
into
school
draft book,
Rothstein style.
Yeah, Rothstein. I'm not wearing them though today. That's good. The glasses, I got him ranked around 74 overall.
All right.
So I think he'd be close to around being there, Mark. I like this kid out of Texas. He was in Alabama and then he transferred over to Texas. A little bit underwhelming. Okay, he had some ankle injuries. But he's 6'6". He's 5'11", 180, average 15.9 a catch. He ran a 4.3. You like this guy too a little bit, I think, right?
I did a little bit. I have trouble with taking Texas wide receivers, but I do like him a little bit just because he's running the 4.3, Chris.
Right. And then, Helm. Take a look at Helm, the tight end out of Texas. Like him too at this spot. Okay, so we get into the fourth round now, Mark. Okay. And I want you to talk about Helm a little bit too for me once we get these in. But with the 106 pick, what do you got?
I'm telling you, this is my pick right here. This is my one pick. I don't have to take anybody else because he should be there. I don't think he's lasting to the 5th round. You have to take him here. I'm taking Sam Mondin out of Georgia. I'm taking him right now. I'm not losing him. It's high. I'm taking him. I'm not waiting for the 144th pick because I don't know if he'll be there. I'm taking Mondin right here.
See, for me,
I'm going to put him on the side of Jalen Walker. That's what I'm doing. And there's my Georgia. SEC Georgia. Here we go, Chris. Mondin and Walker.
You know I love him. He's one of my favorite players.
I know it's a little early, Chris, but I don't want to take the risk. He's not there in the 5th round. I'm taking him right now.
I'm with you. I love him. I'm hoping he could be there 144, but you're right. I mean, if he's there, take him if you think that much of him.
Because we historically, Chris, will wait and say, we'll take him at 144, and somebody takes him at 142, you're going out of your mind. So
right. And I love the fact, honestly, that he had a bad combine because that means he's dropping for a lot of people.
And I'm going to tell you something, Chris. He had a good Senior Bowl, though. If you looked at his Senior Bowl practices, he was all over the field. And then he went to the combine. And he had a bad combine. So you're right. So he's going to drop a little bit.
Another couple guys to look for is Belton, the offensive tackle out of NC State.
Yep.
In that spot. Another guy that has good feet, good athleticism, can slide out. Or looking at safety now, looking at Bowman out of Oklahoma, the safety, true center field guy, if you want him in that spot. And so we already kind of talked about the 5th round a little bit too, but you got a couple guys in the 5th round at 144.
So, Chris,
I like Dike, whatever. Wide receiver.
Chris, we think a lot alike. 5th round, 144. I'm looking at Malachi Moore from Alabama safety.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking safety there, Chris. I'm thinking Malachi Moore. I'm even thinking, because I think he's versatile and I think he could play center field, I'm looking at Jalen Reed from Penn State.
Yeah, I like him too.
Because I think he's versatile. I think he could plug there. And I know it's a stretch because I don't think he'll still be on the board, but I would take Billy Bowman there as well. Those are my 3 safeties I got listed there. But I think Bowman, Chris, probably goes in the 4th round. You know what I mean? I think Jalen Reed and Malachi Moore, you have a good shot at getting one of those with that 144 slot because I think we need to take a young safety that can play center field, Chris.
Yes, I agree. Last thing, I want you to talk for 30 seconds about I don't know if I'm saying it right, Dike, D-I-K-E out of Florida, the wide receiver. He's 6'1", 196, deep threat guy. This guy's a 4.3 guy. For all the receivers in the combine, he averaged 18 yards a catch in 2024. He runs away from coverage, deep crossers, goal routes. He sets up the safeties really well, can get off the press. What do you think?
So the kid from Florida, I had him on my board. Hold on, let me just.
And he's dangerous after the catch too.
Yeah, he's on my board. Hold on.
And he's not a great route runner, but I think he could develop into a great route runner.
So Chris, I think he's. What I wrote was, I'll tell you right now. I wrote that he's great at understanding zone coverage, Chris, right? He can find a soft spot in the zone, settles into windows with like the savviness of a veteran. He reminds me of a young Tyler Boyd, right?
Yeah.
So you could, and so he'd be a great number 3 receiver for you because that's what Boyd basically was. If you can get the rest of what you need out of the wide receiver position, I think he's a good, I think the kid can manipulate the defensive leverage with subtle head fakes and change the tempo. I got him listed as, I had him listed on my board as a.
Hurry up.
Hold on 1 second.
Hurry up. Gotta go.
I got him going in the. Where the hell did I have him going? On my board.
Well, we gotta go.
All right, go.
So let's hope everything worked out the way we said it did, and not the other way around. But the Pats Nation was presented by Corso and Catone, Saturdays noon Eastern. Hey, make sure you tune into that. Come back to this show next weekend, 8 a.m. We're gonna have a full draft recap and breakdown, so you don't want to miss that. We are the Pats Nation. Enjoy Sunday.